Eli Milky, you're the main man at Radisson Blu. You are the Chief Development Officer. Is that if I've got that right?
Yes, yes. Not the main man, but yes, Chief Development Officer for Radisson Hotel Group in the region.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your role, because the Chief Development Officer seems really broad. Tell us what you do in your day to day, and then we can get into it a little bit.
I had the company's development activities in the Middle East, Northeast Africa, including Pakistan and Cyprus and Greece. Um, it's a nice mix because you deal with different kinds of investors, different developers, different markets, different people, different dynamics, different opportunities and challenges. And my job is to lead that development for the company and to grow the company's portfolio across the region. So we've got targets of signing, let's say, uh, 15 to 20 hotels, resorts, and service apartments a year in my region. That's around, let's say, 3 to 4,000 keys a year.
Yeah.
We've got targets to open 10 to 12 hotels every year. That's around 2,500 keys a year. The company is all about growth, is all about partnering with investors. My job is to, with my team, identify opportunities, identify investors and developers, and negotiate agreements together, sell them the idea why they should invest with Radisson Hotel Group, why we should be their partners or not somebody else. And then we negotiate long agreements, legal agreements with them, whether it's a management contract or a franchise contract. And we sign these deals, and they're usually 20, 30-year deals. And we aim with our technical team and pre-openings team and the operations team, help them to open these hotels, brand them and open these hotels in 1, 2, or 3 years. We look at greenfield opportunities, we look at conversion opportunities, and these conversions could be existing hotels, they could be office buildings, they could be residential buildings, and yeah, we're all over the place.
So you're a busy, busy, busy man.
Yes, very busy.
Your remit then seems really broad in terms of coverage of geographics. How do you determine where you focus your energies into? These 10 buildings per year, and how much of that focus is specifically on the UAE?
The UAE is a big part of it. We're based in Dubai. Our regional office is Dubai. Our company strategy tends to focus on. We tend to shortlist focus countries that we need to be spending more time on. UAE is one of them. Saudi Arabia is another. Egypt is another, and Greece is another. Those are the main markets that we cover in my region, in the region that I cover with my team. And we're expanding the team to make sure that we deliver on those markets, because that's the expectation of the shareholders, that's the expectation of the executive committee, expectation of us as a company. That's how we narrow it down to our focus. We put together a strategy. We have a 5-year strategy, a 5-year plan. We narrow it down to yearly signings. We narrow it down to how many hotels we have to sign in the UAE, how many we have to sign in Saudi Arabia, how many we have to do in Greece, how many we have to do in Egypt. That doesn't exclude other markets such as Jordan, Lebanon, Libya. I've got some very exotic markets, Iraq, Syria, if once it opens up, Iran, if it ever opens up. We've got Bahrain, we've got Oman, we've got Kuwait. We've been in Kuwait since 1980, since the year I was born. So we opened in Kuwait in 1980, as old as I am. It was the first hotel outside Scandinavia back then, because our roots go back to Scandinavia. So we don't, with our focus countries, we don't dismiss the other markets in the region, but we have to find the right balance to make sure we deliver on the company's strategy.
So how would you determine, of the 4 key regions, the 4 key countries that you just mentioned, how do you determine where has the biggest growth opportunity? Because I'm sure, of course, your remit is just to open your 10 plus, but there must be some thinking behind.
Yes.
How does that happen?
Yes, of course. The UAE has historically been the regional hub, right? The hub for the region, right? It's become a global hub. So historically, we opened our office in Dubai 20 years ago, and so during the active periods of the UAE, especially Dubai and Abu Dhabi in 2005, 2006, leading up to 2010, and the past 15 years, Dubai was leading the activity. At one point, um, we reached around 15, 16 hotels in the UAE, 9 of them in Dubai. At one point, Dubai was we had 150,000 keys in Dubai alone. Um, and so, with all the regional offices being in Dubai, with most of the activity being in Dubai, with the growth being in Dubai year on year, population growth, tourist growth, it and foreign investment coming into
Mm.
Dubai, it only made sense for us to focus on Dubai, to be based in Dubai, and being an international hub. And then at one point, with 150,000 keys reaching 2018, 2019, Saudi Arabia started opening up more. Even before the vision of Saudi Arabia, Vision 2030, the execution of Vision 2030, we saw the potential in Saudi Arabia. So we knew that Saudi Arabia is the powerhouse of the region. It accounts for more than 20% of the GDP of Middle East and North Africa.
Mm.
It is a, a powerhouse. It is, and yet the entire country of Saudi Arabia has fewer than 150,000 keys. So the city of Dubai had more hotel keys than the entire country of Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
That cannot get worse. And with the opening of Saudi Arabia, the opportunity in the kingdom was massive. So we saw the opportunity before. We put together a strategy for Saudi Arabia in 2010. We knew that this point will come when the country will open up. And now they've got targets to reach 800,000 keys a year. So to reach 800,000 keys a year, to get the World Cup in Expo in 2030, World Cup in 2024, if I'm not mistaken, there aren't enough rooms in the kingdom. This made us more active in Saudi Arabia because we saw the opportunity, we saw the signs, we're in line with the vision, and we're not looking just at Riyadh, Jeddah, or the holy cities. We're looking at secondary cities as well. So it became like a comprehensive strategy, an approach of looking at where the opportunities are, not just for Saudi Arabia, but within Saudi Arabia.
Mm.
Religious tourism, business tourism, leisure tourism, medical tourism, sports tourism. And so we break it down into all these. We put together strategies, and we execute them. Now that's the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Egypt is a large market, a large population, more than 80 million people. Recently, Egypt has been booming, has been a lot of developments going into place, branded residential developments, residential real estate, and hospitality is a big component of it. And so we lost focus on Egypt for the past few years because of our activities in different parts of it. So since we focused our strategy on Egypt again, we've signed 900 keys this year alone. And
Amazing.
we expect to exceed that this year, and hopefully we'll do more next year. That's Egypt. With Greece, for instance, after the crash of 2009 and the financial crisis of Greece, I'm just using these 4 countries as
Yeah.
examples, right? We expected a lot of foreign investment went into Greece in 2016, 2017. I started looking after Greece in 2019 after I'd spent some time in Cyprus. And in 2019, we put together a strategy that this is the right time to invest in Greece. And so we were there. We were ready when the investments were coming in, foreign investments, local investors, local white label operators that we partnered with. We went from 1 hotel in Greece to almost 15 hotels today in a market that was suffering and bleeding for many years. So we look at different indicators, and it's about being ready for the change.
Yeah.
Being proactive and ready for when the time comes, you are there for the market and for the investors.
How do you determine, with your existing portfolio in general, is there metrics that you kind of look at to determine what is working? Because I appreciate when you probably take on an investor, there's certain key metrics you've got to. Can you share that? Whether it's occupancy or performance of
Yeah,
per building, how does that work?
yeah. I mean, I used to work for HVS before 2010. I've been with the company for 15 years, by the way. Um, and we used to do a lot of feasibility studies, financial advisory, investment analysis. And what we used to do is we write a 100-page report on what the occupancy will be, what the return on investment will be, the market analysis, and all of that. That gave me the basis to um, to being able to do that within 5 minutes whenever I visit a location, or because of our exposure to all these locations, we know how these markets perform. We have comparable data. We've got benchmark data. We've got our own hotels performing in some of these markets. So whenever we enter a market, and after all these years, you start understanding even locations. Whenever an investor approaches you for a certain location, off the top of the head, off the top of your head, you will know whether this should be for a luxury product or a mid-scale product. Whether this should be for, in our case, would it be a Parkin by Radisson mid-scale, or would it be a Radisson Collection entry-level luxury? Is it a lifestyle destination, or is it a simple upscale destination? Is it a resort, or is it a city hotel? And and by looking at that location, knowing the perimeter around it, knowing which hotels operate in that area, you have an idea how your hotel will perform. You have an idea the occupancy could be 75%. You know that the property could achieve 70 could achieve in certain markets, such as if you're looking at the Palm in Dubai, for instance, we've got a resort achieving, let's say, 800 dirhams a night. That's around 200 euros, let's say, plus. You know that you'll be able to achieve that in this location, but the same product in a secondary location in the south, you would not, for instance. So you'd be able to dissect it and narrow it down per brand, per location, per product type. And what we usually do is a year-long average, a year-round average.
Yeah.
It's not, we don't look at just what the occupancy or the average rate is in the summer, but we look at the year-round average, and we break it down. We go all the way down to the profitability of each hotel. So off the top of our heads, we can do that. And then internally, once we submit projects for board approval, then we document everything and have it more in a business format that can be approved and submitted internally for auditing sake and good order's sake.
Are most new ventures, and correct me if I'm wrong here, are most new ventures you enter into are normally with external investors or self-funded from the hotel itself, the group itself, or do you look for local partners per wherever you're entering into?
An important point is we don't own our own hotels.
Okay.
We don't develop our own hotels. We don't fund any of our hotels. All our hotels are with developers and investors. So all our hotels are owned by somebody else.
Okay.
They are, whether it's a management contract where we operate the hotel on behalf of the owner or the investor. Franchise contract is where we give that investor the franchise rights to operate that hotel. In some cases, they operate the local management company, or they operate the hotel themselves because they have the expertise. And those are the two models that we follow in this region. In other parts of the world, such as in Europe, we lease some of our hotels. Around 70 or 10-20% of our hotels, for instance, in Europe are leased, which means we rent these buildings and these hotels from landlords, and we put in our own money in some cases, but just into the FF&E and we pay rent. And this is usually with institutional investors looking for rent. But in our region, Eastern Mediterranean, Northeast Africa, the Middle East, it's 80% management contracts and 20% franchises, roughly.
It's really interesting. So your involvement with, let's say, the UAE specifically, people are using the name, the platform, I'd imagine. So you're actively managing on behalf of the building or the owners of the building.
Correct.
That's how it works.
That's how it works. We hire on their behalf. We fire on their behalf. We pay salaries. We run the P&L of each hotel all the way down to the gross operating profit line. We pay bills, electricity bills, water bills. We all the way down. So we manage the P&L of the hotel.
But that model differs by country or region. It's not always the same.
Which model?
As in, like the management model. You don't have ownership of all the buildings or total control front to end.
Globally, we don't own any of our hotels.
Okay. Interesting.
Globally. Now, in Europe, it's mostly split, where you got around 20% leased hotels, 40% managed, 40% franchised, roughly. In the Middle East and Africa, it's 80% managed, 20% franchised. We don't do any leases. because the lease model is um, is is more risky for us.
Hmm.
And so such a model we only have the right to um, uh, to 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 um, to sign or to pursue in mature markets such as Barcelona, Paris,
Yeah.
Munich, Zurich, Hamburg, and some cities in Europe, but not in emerging markets
Okay.
because the Middle East and Africa region is considered an emerging market. Greece, even though Greece is in Europe, is still considered somewhat emerging compared to the rest of Europe.
Mm.
And
Because of its financial history, or
yeah, because of its recovery,
yeah.
financial history. And what's very interesting is that percentage of branded hotels in the UAE, let's look at Dubai, for instance, is above 40 or 60%, 50 or 60% of all hotels are internationally branded. Um, Most hotels in Europe, around the Mediterranean, you're talking, let's say, 20, 30% or 15, 20%. In Greece, it's less than 1%.
Wow.
So that's what, and that applies to Cyprus as well. Now, this is where Italy was a few years ago, or Spain was a few years ago in the Mediterranean. Turkey is different because they're more open to brands. So a bigger percentage of hotels are branded. In Greece, it's because out of 10,000 hotels, many of them are family run, small hotels. They never saw the value of an international brand. That's changing. And
Just because of the demographic of people maybe visiting these places,
um,
they expect it, I guess.
the expectation, they never saw it from the investor side, from the owner side, from the family running the hotel. They never they thought that giving their hotel to a tour operator and filling it up every summer was sufficient, was enough.
Hmm.
But over time, they realized that you cannot put all your eggs in one basket. The collapse of Thomas Cook in 2019 led to the shutdown of 200 hotels that were only dependent on Thomas Cook. And so many of these families have started seeing, okay, maybe we should brand our hotels because we're able to increase our average rate, open up to new markets, get new feeder markets, get an international loyalty program from these hotel groups, get some standards in place, spread our risk. And so they're starting to see that. In addition, those family run hotels have started passing on the helm to their children and to the son or the daughter. And that new generation, some of them see the potential, see the added value. Others don't want to do anything with the hotel business. They want to do their own thing. And so they started wanting to offload these assets to somebody that wants to run the hotels and brand them. In addition, banks are expecting, if banks want to lend and finance hospitality real estate developments, they want an international brand to be in place. So that's being driven by the banks as well. In addition, foreign investors that have gone into Greece, regional investors, Middle Eastern investors, European investors that have gone to Greece, they go in wanting an international brand. And so they want to sign with the Radisson Hotel Group or somebody else. So it's changing from the investor side mostly. Consumers and many investors and hotel owners started realizing that consumers would would prefer to stay in a branded hotel with a local touch. It doesn't need to be to lack a local flair, but with a local touch because of the standards that they expect, because of the hygiene after COVID, because of the safety and security.
Mm.
And so this has been also to a certain extent driven by consumers who prefer to stay in a branded hotel.
You got from just doing some very brief research, I believe 9 in Dubai and then the remaining in the other Emirates. Really intrigued to know how a deal comes about in terms of, is it, can it start with a plot of land? Is it an existing building? Is it a network of people you may know of that have an ability to do the introduction? How do they typically come about? I know I appreciate every situation may be different, but
Yeah.
how does the first conversation to then opening actually happen?
Okay, there's many ways. I mean, it's a lot of networking, a lot of meetings with owners, owners shopping around, speaking to different operators. In some cases, it's with an existing owner. So, for instance, we're now looking at an opportunity in Dubai with an existing owner with whom we have one or two hotels, and that owner has another hotel, and we're now in talks to see if we could take over and brand that hotel.
Okay, so it's an existing dwelling and you're maybe looking to come and
Yeah.
rebrand it and
Yes,
okay.
but that's with an existing owner.
Yep.
In another case, for instance, you've got these consultancy firms in the market. I mean, I used to work with HVS. There are different hospitality real estate companies in the market, such as Jones Lang LaSalle, CBRE, Colliers, to name a few. They are approached by investors and owners to conduct an operator selection process. So some of these consultants and advisory firms come to us and they run an operator selection process. And then we could get shortlisted, we could get selected. We're now in talks with one of them, and I've got a meeting this week for 2 properties in Dubai in different locations. But that came through the consultant. So that's another way to do it. We also attend conferences. And when I speak at on panels and at conferences, after every panel, I have somebody approaching me. Listen, I have something I'd like you to look at. Somebody listening to this podcast may give me a call in a few days and say, "Listen, I've got something," and whoever's listening, I'll tell them I'm ready to talk. So you let me know what you
And
have.
you make sure you pay us as well.
We can discuss that
Yeah.
separately for sure.
When's enough though? Because obviously, I'm sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
you whilst you're answering that question, but if you're speaking to 2 or 3 opportunities actively, you've got 12, 13, 14 existing. Is there enough business in the UAE to be able to add another 5, 15, 10 over the next few years?
To be able to sign 10 to 15 or 15 to 20 deals a year, we should be handling 50 to 100 deals,
Okay.
leads, because only a few of them get to the deal part, right? Now, so we're juggling a lot of leads, but then we try to filter them down and then focus on the ones that we believe we could close. In Dubai, we expect we could easily double our portfolio
Wow.
because if you look at our competition, they're probably 5, 6, or 7 times bigger. But then that's because they've got many more brands and they've got a different strategy altogether. We focus on the 5, 6 brands that we have, and I believe that we could double our portfolio because if you look at Dubai, let me give you another example. I mean, I use Greece as with the 1% branding. Of all the resorts in Dubai, do you know how many of them, all the beach resorts, how many of them are less than 5-star? They're not 5-star luxury, meaning they're, let's say, 4-star beach
Less than
resorts.
4-star beach resorts.
Less than 5-star. How many of these resorts don't have a 5-star rating? And I don't like to use star ratings because they vary, but I'm talking about
Can't imagine there's
upper
many.
upscale. There's less than 5.
Yeah.
There's less than 5.
Is that because
Out of-
Dubai has
out of-
such high
Out of
standards?
around
Or?
50, 60 resorts, I think. I need to get the number. Because I think the price of land in Dubai is quite high. So, and the average rates that we could command in some of these locations, the Radisson that we have on the Palm is one of the few 4-star resorts that we have that Dubai has. That 200, 220, 230 euro average rate for this 4-star is higher than most of our 4-star Radissons globally, and achieves a higher average rate than many of our 5-star Radisson Blues in the market or elsewhere. So it shows you Dubai commands, because of the demand for Dubai, because of the demand for places like the Palm and other locations, owners are able to charge higher rates. So the 5-star upper upscale luxury positioning makes sense. But to the consumer, there's a big gap in the market.
Mm.
And so when Palm Jebel Ali opens up, when Jubairah Islands open up, or Dubai Islands they're called now, we will start seeing more affordable resorts coming to the market. And so we could easily have 2 or 3 more beach resorts. We could look at Dubai Islands, we could look at Jebel Ali, Palm Jebel Ali. We could so that's a small example of the gaps that Dubai still has. And by saying it's a gap, it's not a problem. It's actually a beautiful opportunity.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say that Dubai is saturated. No, it's not, depending what you're looking for. So first of all, how many 4-star or more affordable beach resorts are there in Dubai? Not too many. Of all the branded properties in Dubai, let's say you've got a growing percentage of service apartments. How many of the service apartments in Dubai are internationally branded? Not so many. So there's a gap there. How many budget hotels are there in Dubai under specific hotel brands? It's a growing number, but it's still a very, very small percentage compared to the rest of the industry. That's a gap, and that's an opportunity in the market. I mean, lifestyle hotels are there in Dubai. There's a growing demand for lifestyle products in the mid-scale tier, upscale tier, upper upscale tier, luxury tier. There's a gap for each one of those. So Dubai South is expanding. Dubai is expanding in that direction, so there are more opportunities in in those locations as well. It's
Is it
expanding
intentional, this
inwards.
strategy with the four-star branded hotel, four-star hotel, to control pricing, to have a certain part of the marketplace? Is it intentional? Is that the strategy, or do you have no control on the grading of the hotel?
Star rating,
Yes, correct.
that should be determined from the very beginning.
Okay, so when you plan something, you can control what rating it should be based on what the hotel offers, and then in turn have an idea of what you can charge.
Correct, and we design it to be able to get that star rating in the market. So, for instance, DTCM would not give you a 5-star rating if your room size is less than 32 square meters, for
Oh,
instance.
okay.
So that's such a small example because DTCM, like in every market, the tourism authorities have minimum requirements for 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars. Now these vary from country to country. That's why I don't like to use star ratings that much, but I wanted to simplify the point. And so we have our requirements and we adapt them to the local requirements of every market. When we signed the one in Dubai on the Palm, for instance, we wanted to have a 4-star product. We wanted to have an upscale product, not upper upscale or luxury, because we're swimming in a sea of luxury resorts.
Mm.
Um, and so we were able to, within a small plot, erect a building that was housing 389 keys. Now, if we were to do a 5-star resort or an upper upscale resort, we would have had maybe 250 keys. And so the strategy here was different. We wanted more volume. We wanted to operate just below the upper upscale tier. We wanted to capitalize on the competition among upper upscale hotels, and then being able to charge something slightly lower, uh, which consumers would would appreciate, and for us we'd be able to get a high average rate. So it's a process with the investor from the very beginning. We tend to advise investors on what they should be going for. They could get that validated by a third party advisory firm or third party opinion, but it's a discussion throughout the process. And we've been in situations where we've seen we sign um, an upscale product, but as the market evolves, we see a growing demand, and we decide early in the game to change the positioning of the property or to change the brand because we believe it will add more value to the investor. It's an ongoing process. I mean, I always talk about hospitality real estate as a living and breathing real estate asset. Um, it is designing passion. It's designing rooms, designing rooftops, designing lobbies, colors, stories. And once these assets open, they are either sold to different families or investors, or they pass on as legacies from generation to generation. It's where um, with every renovation, history is made, stories take place.
You have to constantly, you have to constantly keep reimagining though a facility, because I would guess there is a time period where you may have interest tail off, or it probably needs some work. Is there a time frame where you factor that into the investment?
Yes, for sure. What we do is we advise our owners. We have a FNE reserve fund, a sinking fund
Yeah.
that we put aside for every management agreement. We advise our franchise partners to do the same. We continuously keep the property, maintain the upkeep of the property to stay competitive in the market. And usually, by 7, 8 years into the life of the asset, we recommend renovation and upgrade, because what happens is you want to stay competitive. There are more hotels that open in the market. Yeah, more hotels open next door. Televisions change, sockets change, technology evolves. Curtains get worn out, carpets need to be replaced. It's an ongoing process that we put in a budget every single year with our hotels.
Really, really interesting. Coming back to the question, which I'm sorry interrupted you on to how packaging a deal comes together. Um, if you're speaking to an investor today, and I can appreciate there may be some sensitivities here. If I had a building or some land somewhere, is there a period of time where I could start seeing a actual return on my money, whether it's 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? Because you said 30 years typical license time frame, or
That's the term of the agreement.
yeah,
Um, but that's not the payback period or
Mm.
the return on the payback period. Because now something interesting here, and it's good you've raised that point, because whenever many real estate developers, non-hospitality real estate developers, want to go into hospitality, they try to compare it to residential real estate. Residential real estate is where you sell and exit. When you develop and exit by selling the units and you get your money back quickly. Hospitality real estate tends to discourage non-hospitality investors. There are a lot of hospitality investors out there that understand the model, but for non-hospitality investors, they tend to shy away from hospitality because the payback period could be as long as 8 to 12 years.
Okay.
Whereas in some cases we have had some of our hotels recover their development costs within 5 6 years. So we have exceptional cases in Dubai and elsewhere. But the problem, what I tell investors when they try to compare hospitality real estate to or with residential real estate, is that they're comparing apples to oranges. Hospitality real estate is not to develop and sell immediately. It is not about the payback period. It is about securing cash flow year on year. So you're developing a cash generating asset. That's number one. Number two, you have an option to exit. And when you exit with an appreciated asset. So you will exit at a premium and you will recover your land cost, development cost, and get your exit value. Or you could pass it on to your children. You could pass it on to somebody else. So there's that legacy about it as well. That's what I keep telling investors. The payback period for hotels, we look at a payback period, but we look at the IRR with the exit value. We look at the return on investment with an exit value, with an optional exit in year 10. Theoretically, it's year 10. But practically, we have a lot of developers that in Greece and elsewhere. I'm even helping them, connecting them with investors who are developing our hotels, opening in a year, and they're already securing their exit investor. Hospitality real estate is a different world. It's a different mindset.
More patient, I guess.
Much more patient. There's a lot of headache compared to office real estate, commercial real estate, residential. It's a lot of headache, to put it in simple terms. That's why we're there. That's what we're there for.
Interesting. So, from an investor's perspective, they can. I guess you're really looking for someone that wants to diversify from the norm. Do you tend to see people have multiple hotels? With you guys, is it normally they have one and then that's it, or is it normally one person or a family having multiple in the same area or locations?
70% of our owners have more than one hotel with us.
Wow. Okay.
They either they come to us with a portfolio of hotels that we sign, or they sign one and we prove our capabilities, and then we sign more hotels together. So almost 70% of our investors have more than one, and it's good. It's important to note that, especially for your audience, I think even if most real estate investors are not hospitality investors, there are many specialized hospitality real estate funds,
Mhm.
hospitality REITs, real estate investment trusts, institutional investors um, investing in hospitality real estate. And there's a lot of funds, developers that are focused on hospitality real estate. So you get to see the many investors that do get into hospitality real estate tend to get addicted to it when they do it the right way and when they go all the way. And then they start looking at different markets, they start looking at different asset types, different locations. They benefit from clustering opportunities with the same operator. For instance, if we've got several investors with whom we have several hotels, and we have a cluster general manager that covers several of the properties. We're the heads of department run more than one property. What happens there is you improve the profitability of each asset, and you increase the value of the overall value of each asset that investors develop. So yes.
And you can help with an exit. So if I had a building now, 10 years time, Radisson can help with me for kind of exiting that and you carrying on the service agreement.
We don't get directly involved with brokerage as such.
Yeah.
We What we try to do is we try to um, facilitate viewings. We might have other owners that we know that could be interested. I myself have connected many on a personal level, many some of our investors who are looking to sell with others who are looking to buy. And so we tend to do that as well. What we do on the ground is to make sure that the hotel is profitable, well maintained, because this would increase the value of the asset to the end buyer. And so we help in many ways because at the end of the day, we want to grow the portfolio with our existing owners and with potential owners.
I'm interested in your thoughts on the other Emirates. So obviously we've got Abu Dhabi, but
Yes.
also the much hyped Ras Al
Back.
Khaimah. Tell me what you think your thoughts are here.
Oh, we've got 4 hotels in Abu Dhabi with Al Dar and ADNH, Abu Dhabi National Hotels. I'm a big fan of Ras Al Khaimah because of the vision of the ruler. We met with him a few months ago with our CEO and our the members of our executive team. We've got one operating hotel there. We've signed another, a lifestyle Radisson Red on Marjan Island as well. And now we're looking at 2 or 3 other opportunities in Ras Al Khaimah in different locations under different brands. I believe in the vision. I believe in the bold step they've taken in the direction of responsible gaming. I think this would generate a lot of business to Ras Al Khaimah. Real estate has started going up, residential and other real estate. It's brought in many foreign investors and many developers that we're talking to now.
So your numbers, your business cases for Ras Al Khaimah, because obviously I work in real estate. I know how much hype there has been, certainly in the last couple of years. Do your numbers support the business case for the much hype of the gaming
Yeah.
and the tourism and everything that comes with that?
Yes, I think our numbers are a bit conservative. We would rather keep them conservative, but we even with our conservative numbers, if the gaming industry does take off well as planned in 2027 and 2028, I think Ras Al Khaimah would have a shortage of rooms as it is today.
Wow.
And I don't mean to exaggerate. I don't mean to. I'm not riding the hype. I'm just looking at the numbers. If they expect um, the airport to expand and to start, if that ever happens, because that's a very important point. If they expect big numbers to come in from different parts of the world, if they expect the gaming part of it will attract a lot of business, but it's the ancillary facilities as well. From what I've seen, it's the entertainment elements that would attract business. It's the commercial elements that would attract business. It's the rooms business, not just the gaming element alone. I think that would lead to more demand, and which means we would need to have more hotels in Ras Al Khaimah. Now, would it be as big as Dubai? I don't think so. That's not the point. But I think we are well positioned now with if we could reach 5, 6 hotels in Ras Al Khaimah in the next 3 years in operation under development, we'll be in a good place under different brands, different positioning, different products in different locations. We'll be well positioned to cater to that market as Ras Al Khaimah is
So
the
only
first
4
place.
more to go. Only 4 more hotels to go then,
Well,
or
we've
3,
got
potentially 3.
3 more.
Yeah.
3 more. We're working on it.
Before we wrap up, I'm just interested because obviously you work in so many different regions. I'm interested to understand the ease of doing business in, let's say, Saudi Arabia. I get commonly asked, when are we opening up in Saudi? And I have different contacts there. How are you finding ease of business in Saudi versus UAE right now? More difficult, easier? Is there certain things you have to do differently?
It's more difficult, but not in a negative way. It's more difficult because you need to be more present there.
Mm-hmm.
They are establishing themselves to be more investor friendly, um, to promote foreign direct investment. And so that usually takes time. It's a bigger market that makes it a bit more difficult. Um, it's a bigger population that makes it a bit more difficult. It's the vision is there, the execution is there. You just need to spend more time in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Um, how difficult it is, I would say, not as difficult as any market because every market has its own challenges. Most of our signings every year are in Saudi Arabia. The challenges that we face are, for instance, delays in openings. Just
What would they happen in just out of general?
changes of contractors, changes of people leading the project, delays in approvals and licenses, and by the way, most markets in the world face these things.
Mm.
It's just that with Saudi Arabia, because it's an emerging market, they tend to take a bit longer. But we've managed to sign and open hotels from scratch. We've managed to sign existing hotels and take over existing hotels and rebrand existing hotels. So we've managed to sign hotels in different ways in Saudi Arabia, and we're very proud of what we've achieved. But I think, in short, you need to spend more time there. And I think to set up base and to be able to do business, you would have to set up base there, or at least a satellite office. But you need to be active there as
Yeah,
well.
out of sight, out of mind, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Ali, do you know what? I have myself actually learned a hell of a lot in the time we've done this podcast. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Thank
For
you.
anyone that's watching this, because I know we had a lot of people watching, a lot of people sharing. If anyone is interested to explore, hotelier or the opportunities we spoke to today, reach out to us. We will get you in contact with Ellie, and who knows, you may have your first hotel in the coming years ahead. Ellie's got very aggressive targets to reach, so hopefully we can help you with that. Mate, thank you so much for your time, and
Thank
best
you.
of luck with your continued expansion.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.